nearest and dearest friends in the industry. I won't say oldest friend in the industry, but
that's all right.
This is, if you don't know, Scott, SirScoots. What's going on, man? How are you enjoying PAX?
Having a great time. Unfortunately, working a booth, so as you know how that goes, you don't get to necessarily enjoy all the new games and stand in lines, but after Boston last year, this is a blowout. Like, they really grew this event, so I'm very happy for the East Coast, very happy for PAX in Boston, so good stuff.
We like it so far, so what have you been doing at the booth?
I'm hanging out with Kingston. We brought a couple of our pro EG players here. They're one of our sponsors, so we had Justin Wong here, taking all challengers in Street Fighter, and then In Control, who's behind us right now, taking all income, challengers in StarCraft 2.
And you've been with EG for a while now. For how long?
Almost 2 years now.
And before then, where'd you work?
Before that, I was with Gotfrag and MLG.
So you've seen this industry grow for a long time.
Yeah, I've been around for a while, I guess.
I'm not going to make any time jokes. Don't look at me like that.
No age jokes, please. Yeah. For quite a while, I've been in the scene, so yeah.
Well, I've been wondering, I won't say I'm new to the scene, but I think I came in about halfway, so I kind of want your perspective on how esports has been evolving and how these players are becoming, really more accessible to their fans. We went from tournaments being in basements on tiny little TVs, and nobody ever heard of them, to these huge, you got lines, you've got time, people are out the door to see In Control and everybody.
It's crazy. I think the first boon we had in North America was Counter-Strike several years ago. Kind of was a game that every league picked up, every tournament had. You had a huge pub scene, and you had a huge competitive scene grow out of that, right? I think that's died away. And now Counter-Strike, for example, you're kind of left with the pros, and no one really plays it for fun anymore. StarCraft 2 has kind of blown it back out again for North America, but times 100. It's astounding. I think you add that to the combination of the Justin TVs, the Ustreams, the live streams. Anybody can grab a little bit of, hardware, a capture card, a microphone, and get out there with their game. And so you're seeing a lot more streamers, a lot more teams doing content like that, and I think that makes it even more accessible to the casual fan at home. And I think it's only going to get crazier.
And what's on the horizon for Team EG?
I think 2011 is going to be big. I won't do an In Control and say we've got amazing announcements coming. We do have a couple things in the pipe that are going to be, I think, really exciting for people. As you know, Greg has come back to the United States for StarCraft 2. He's going to be living in my neck of the woods in Phoenix, so we plan on doing a lot more video production with him. He's going to be doing his stream again. A couple other players already live in Phoenix, so we're kind of taking the idea of doing the Korea house that we were going to do, and we're going to kind of shift it back towards North America and do it in Phoenix.
And they're actually, like you said, Counter-Strike is kind of dying off. We have StarCraft 2 coming out. Are there any other games that maybe EG as a competitive organization has their eye on?
Absolutely. I mean, one of our jobs is to always keep an eye on what's new and gauge if it's new and big because it's casual or if it will be a competitive title. One of the games that jumps to mind is League of Legends. Everybody seems to be on it. I probably get asked once a week to sponsor a team. The stream numbers are big, the prize numbers is big, the tournaments are using it. So it's almost becoming the natural progression for us. We have a HuK team, very happy with that. So that's our dilemma, is like, do we support two games in the same genre, or do we pick one or the other? Very happy with our HuK guys, but League of Legends is on fire. Other than that, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is off the hook when it comes to the fighting game scene. We are very supportive of that. Justin Wong, Ricky Ortiz are playing right now in Atlanta. And other than that, we are looking at like Black Ops and just consoles in general. MLG seems to be kind of loosening their death grip on letting outside sponsors in. When it was Halo only, they were very, very strict on that. They absolutely let anybody, StarCraft-wise, last year roll in. They didn't care what shirts you were wearing. They were very cool about it. And if they keep that with the rest of their stages, those are big, viable games for us. So Halo Reach or even Black Ops, we will be looking at.
Well, it looks like we got some promising things on the horizon. So when I want to stay updated with EG, when I want to know what's coming next, where do I go?
Absolutely. Website, myeg.net. Our Twitter, Evil Geniuses, and our Facebook, Evil Geniuses. All sorts of contests generally happen in all three of those places, so check us out. Follow us.
And absolutely follow at SirScoots, because this man is hilarious, and we have some pretty good exchanges, so follow both of us.
You're hilarious.
No, you.
Tell me a little bit of Blur tonight.
Tonight? All right, I'll bet you one of those free beers. Thanks.
I'm taking it, Andrew.
Yep.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on the first episode of CyberSportsNetwork CSInsider. We have with us SirScoots, and as you just watched in the interview, he hinted at some big news when I spoke to him at PAX. Well, it's been a couple months now, and it's been nothing but big news from EG. So we are very excited to have him here with us. Video loading on my end might be loaded up elsewhere. Hope you guys are watching us. I hope you can all see us. And yeah, so Scoots, how you doing tonight? And how are things over at EG?
EG's great. Hello to you, Rachel, Seltzer, if you will, and Andrew. Nice to see you guys again, as always. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem.
I'm excited to be busting the cherry on CSInsider. Although, you know, being a Counter-Strike guy, I looked at that and went, CSInsider, what? But anyway.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to call it, you know, crime scene investigation, right? So, yeah.
Oh, CSI, holy shit.
Yeah, see, a lot of people didn't even realize that.
Wait, I need some shades to take them off.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
Well, we're really happy to have you here. It was actually after your most recent episode of Live on 3 that we were like, you know what, we need to have a platform where people such as yourself who have these positions and these privileged perspectives in the community to come out and really share the knowledge that you kind of have, and there's no way for you to you know, hand out to the rest of esports who only really gets what they see in headlines and what they see in comment sections. So I really want to start this off by, first of all, congratulating Puma at IEM. Did an amazing job, and sorry for MC there. That was rather devastating, but I'm sure you're feeling a moment of pride.
Yeah, we're quite happy with the results. You know, especially when you're setting your clock to wake up at 2 in the morning, then 3 in the morning, and then 4 in the morning to watch these matches. And tonight we all got to sleep in a little. This morning we all got to sleep in a little bit till 7-ish, 8-ish, and then, you know, it was delayed obviously because of League of Legends. But yeah, we're very, very happy for not only EG but obviously very, very happy for Puma. 2 international events, 2 international victories. So really, really happy for him.
Yeah, I rolled out of bed about 10 o'clock, and I was like, oh, dang it, I missed it. I was like, dang it, I missed the finals, and then I got up, and it was just starting. So,
perfect timing.
The delay worked out. The delay worked out for me. So.
Well, I think it was actually with EG's acquisition of Puma that a lot of this debate that we want to talk about tonight got started. We're talking about picking up players. We're talking about players' contracts, whether they should be public or private. And we're talking about a lot of things that you've actually had to deal with as a co-owner of EG, navigating these situations where you're picking up these amazingly talented players and trying to pay them what they need to be paid in the industry to continue to do what they do. So our first question tonight is, how is that working out with Puma? It seems to be working out rather well as far as his play, but I don't know how much he's been involved with the team since you picked him up.
Well, I mean, even today, aside his victory, it's been working out quite well. Obviously, he is located in Korea, but he's been sharing his replays with the team. They've actually been able to practice with him. It's something weird that he's okay playing on North America in the sense of I think they're using some sort of tunneling program right now, and it seems to work kind of one way, unfortunately. Like some of the Koreans can use it to play on North America and probably EU, but it doesn't work the opposite way. So his ping seems to be okay. He's played actually, you know, in a EG Masters Cup on the North American server. So they're actually starting to, you know, have some real interaction with their teammate. And tomorrow, he actually lands here in Phoenix, and he'll be at the house before MLG and at the house after MLG. So we'll get some serious FaceTime with Puma. And the players will as well.
And where is he staying right now in Korea? He's obviously not still at the TSL house.
No, right now he's at home. He's at home.
Oh, with mom and dad? Oh, that's good.
Yep.
And how long will he be staying out in Phoenix after MLG?
About a week or so, if I recall. So it'll be nice.
Sorry, Andrew?
So this is the first time the players have had, like, as a team, will have, like, any interaction with him besides, obviously, HuK?
I know that, you know, Jeff's had some interaction with him because they were all at NASL together, hanging out.
Right, that's right.
And then obviously Jeff was in, I don't think other than Jeff any of the players have had any face-to-face, and obviously Greg has had some with him. But yeah, the other players are quite excited to actually, meet him and hang out with him. If you're in the Phoenix area, tomorrow, 4:30, Terminal 4, meet us on the B side. We're going to have a little meet and greet. Welcome him to Arizona. There's a thread on Team Liquid about it. If you want to check that out, you can.
Yeah, I actually saw that. That'll be. I bet you guys will have some local fans attend. That would be pretty cool, especially if you get some good pictures and all that. People in the airport are gonna be like, "Who's this guy? Must be popular," So.
Yeah, it should be fun.
He's gonna be carrying that check when he walks off the plane.
Wait, 2 questions
at once. Have you had a chance to talk with Puma about? I saw the headline earlier today that actually when he went up to play against Sake, he was booed when he came out on stage, and they were shining a laser pointer in his eyes when he was trying to play. Have you had a chance to address that with him, or do you actually have any insight to what might have happened there that wasn't that?
No, I don't. I haven't have any first-person talks with Puma yet about that situation. Just basically what we've kind of read as well. We'll find out tomorrow. We'll definitely be chit and chat with him more about his experience over there. I don't know. I try not to read too much into it. I mean, he was playing sake in Germany, so the boos and all that, while they might be unsportsmanlike, it's very sports-like, right? So the laser pointer, that's just stupid and silly, but what can you do, right? Same stupid kids shine laser pointers at planes flying by and cop cars, and so again, I guess I point to the fact that we got so many fans that now a few of them are a little nutty and a few of them are a little crazy, and it is what it is, I guess.
Now, Scoots, do you think that is like just because it was Sake is the home favorite or whatever, or do you think that I read a lot of the comments on the Reddit thread? Do you think that was like? Some people are like, is this anti-EG movement because of the recent activity? Like you said, there's people that love you now and people that hate you. Do you think it was just because he's the home favorite and this is a Korean coming over? Or do you think it was more directed at EG, or you don't really care? I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Well, frankly, I don't really care, but I don't think it was EG hate, but it could be. I mean, I can't be, I'm not an expert in, the audience that was sitting in those seats. So I think it was more a Korean, a foreigner going against the German. And, again, a lot of people say we're the team to hate. So if that's going to bring some boos simply because he's wearing our shirt, I guess that's just something we're going to have to deal with too,
Well, yeah, like you did say, though, it's sports. So, it does have its place. Unfortunately, it's sad when it happens, but Germans do love Germans. Actually, I wanted to know, what are some of the more extreme things that have come to EG's doorstep after, the Puma controversy? And then I know some people were upset about HuK, and I just don't quite have a perspective of, how you've really been treated after that. I see, when Slayer's team gets hate, you kind of hear about it from Jessica, and, whether or not that's a good thing remains up to debate. But I don't really know what EG is suffering from right now, if you care to even acknowledge it.
Well, I mean, I don't think we suffer from anything in that sense. I think, our history speaks to generally a calm and slow response to stuff. And some would say maybe that's a fault of ours, that we're a little slow to respond to allegations and, and the such. We don't rush. There's often knee-jerk reactions to what a lot of people in the community do. We don't often knee-jerk react back, I guess. And we're not alone in that. So, I mean, we definitely, the Puma situation, we definitely got a little bit of, I want to say, hate at the beginning. But I think as more and more of the story and the behind-the-scenes came out, you saw people starting to go, oh, well, I guess maybe the pitchforks shouldn't have come out so quick on EG.
Right.
And the HuK thing, like, the world of English-speaking StarCraft 2 kind of lives in a way on Team Liquid, and he's an ex-Team Liquid player, so that's totally different kind of people upset with us than the Puma thing, right? I think the Puma thing, we got a lot of hate, if you will, because people thought we were being unethical and we were doing things kind of shady. But again, when the full story came out, people start hearing about all the stuff that's happening in Korea and everything else. People start going, well, maybe they didn't do anything wrong. But it's just like everything else, right? when the news breaks and the story is this, and then a week later the newspaper has to retract it or the TV station has to retract it because the story is not quite as they reported it, that's on page 12, right? That's not on the front page of the newspaper. Like, the retractions are way down here. And so that's just part of it, right? And we just accept it, you know. We are, you know, we want everyone to like us. Obviously, I think any business wants to have people like them. But at the end of the day, you know, I think we at EG, both players and management, have a pretty good vibe that we think we do things ethically, morally, and in proper business perspective. And, you know, a phrase I've said many times, we sleep okay at night, you know. So, you know, if people are going to hate us because we're not their favorite team, that's perfect. I got a problem with that because that's very sports-like, right? If people hate us under the false assumption or false evidence, you want to try to correct that, right? You don't want people to be misinformed of your actions. But, you know, if people love Team Liquid and we compete with Team Liquid or Complexity or Fnatic or SK and they don't like us because we're that team they play, I'm all for that. You know, that's fine. It just, I guess, depends on why people hate you and why they like you, too, in that sense.
We did say, as you said, Evil Geniuses does plan things out for a long time. Exactly how long were you in talks with HuK, or, you know, when did these wheels start turning?
Well, I think Alex even mentioned in the press release, you know, we started talking to HuK when he was still with Millennium. So, you know, obviously then he signed with Team Liquid, and your conversations become very casual, and, you know, you're not recruiting him anymore. But, you know, we talk to a lot of players all the time. Players talk to each other all the time. So, you know, in a very casual way, we've stayed in touch with Chris, and Chris has stayed in touch with us. And when he was given the go-ahead from his management to field offers, if you will, then the conversations got a little more serious. And then it went from there.
Can I ask you one question, Scoots? And I don't know if you'll know the answer to it necessarily. Do you know if HuK was shopping around? Like, was there other teams he was talking to besides you guys? Because, I mean, I think everyone in the community is like, EG just came in and, like, offered him a bunch of money and, you know, whatever, this disclosed amount that's life-changing, and they just kind of, like, took him, you know. But I'm sure HuK was, like, looking around everywhere, right? Like any player would, right?
Yeah, he was definitely shopping around, as any smart player who's about to be a free agent should do. In any employee, anyone looking for a job, you shop your offer. He was doing that.
Right.
And what are the factors about HuK that make him such an appealing pickup? I mean, obviously he's a very talented player, but you know, HuK is extremely desirable, and you know, we certainly don't know what his contract entails. Hey, all right, we're talking about a StarCraft contract.
Oh, okay.
As far as player pickup,
I think Chris is an all-around player in a lot of ways. I think he got a lot of grief when he first started winning, that he was kind of cheesy, and he kind of was a one-hit wonder after that MLG, and he wasn't that good. You know, even Greg kind of pooped on him a lot, right? But you see then Chris dedicate himself and go, you know what? Going to Korea. I want to go to Korea. I want to train. And he did that. And he went from a guy that, you know, some said got lucky, wasn't that great, to a serious global contender. And that simply puts him on the radar instantly for a lot of teams, not just EG. You know, he basically put his money where his mouth was. And, you know, he's a North American. Slasher wanted us to recruit North Americans, so the foreigners win. So I blame Slasher, partially.
Of course, right?
Yeah. And I, you know, I think I can't necessarily speak for Alex because he's his own individual, but I think we've always both really liked Chris. His personality, how he interacts with fans, how he carries himself. He's just he's a good guy in a lot of ways, and his skill set dramatically increased this last year. So again, you know, puts him on a lot of people's radars.
And when you're putting together a contract to offer one of these players, not specific to HuK, but what exactly are you trying to support them in, and where do you expect these players to kind of pick up their own slack? are you giving? I mean, obviously there are players that you give a salary to, players that you put a roof over, and then there are just players that call me when you win something. So when you're sitting down with HuK or when you're sitting down with any player, what are the players really looking to see in their contracts from a team?
Again, I mean, you kind of pointed it out. It does depend on the player. It does depend on the game. Um, you know, obviously, if you look at our StarCraft team, we kind of had a tier. We have a tier system of players. Whether you want to use the Code S and Code A mentality or not. So a guy like HuK is looking for a good financial, solid home base. He's looking for brand exposure for him, opportunities outside of just getting plane tickets. All sorts of things. Some guys are just happy to get a travel contract, if you will, where they're not necessarily salaried. They just get to go to a couple events. Some want far more than that. And based on their skill set, based on their global reach, you determine where you feel that guy fits your brand, and then you start negotiating with them. So a kid like Strife Crow, an up-and-coming guy out of the Warcraft 3 scene, so to speak, is not going to try to dictate the same terms as an Idra or a HuK or and even in Control in that sense, right? So those guys are the up-and-coming guys, the training guys that maybe have more to prove to an organization, so they can kind of start getting more and more benefits. And that's one of the reasons we opened the house, is to give everyone kind of an extra benefit. Come live in a house, come experience this, and train. And that's a perk that not a whole lot of teams outside of Korea can offer anybody. So it's just like any other job you go after. You're going to go sell cars for a company. Well, do they offer an insurance policy? Do I get an hour for lunch? Players all look at different things. What might be really important to Greg is maybe not even so important to Chris. And what might be important to Chris is maybe not important in Control, right? They all have their own little mindsets as to what they need to get out of the job or the relationship. Our job is to make them as happy as we can and keep them for as long as we can,
And by that token, then, do you think, EG will be one of the first to start disclosing these parts of the contract, or are you entering into the discussion with other teams now to maybe start opening up about contracts after all these, high-profile acquisitions?
We're not in discussion with other teams about that.
I'm imagining you would all have to come together and be like, all right, I'll share if you share.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. There was a good discussion there's been a good discussion on several podcasts, both Live on 3, we talked about this a little bit, Inside the Game talked about it, and State of the Game, JP brought it up to the players about it as well, about should people know what these guys get paid. And I think at this stage of what we're doing, it opens up maybe too much of a negative can of worms than we want to open.
Would that be because of large disparities between
Yeah,
teams?
Yeah. I think our team would be absolutely fine with everyone's salary, but Artosis brought up a really good point. They find out what Greg makes, let's say, right, and some guy that just beat Greg in a tournament one time or beats him on ladder all the time goes to his management and goes, "Hey, I kicked this guy's butt, man. I beat him at a tournament. I'm higher ranked at MLG. This is what he gets paid, and then it starts this bidding war for everybody, Now, that is a little bit more like real sports. It's a little bit more in the open. A good chunk of people's contracts in real sports is public knowledge. Not all of the little, bits and pieces of contracts, but you read these, signing bonus was this. He signed a 2-year contract with Real Madrid. It's this. I relish the day that we can do that because we're getting to the point where these salaries are of note in the outside real world, right? So then when the public hears what these guys are making, they won't go, "Oh, I can't believe a kid travels the world for this." They go, "Oh, wow, you can really make a living doing this." That's a positive thing. It's almost like a global PR spin for pro gaming. Just don't think there's enough yet to make it common knowledge. in that sense. And I think the players, again, are also that same kind of, ilk. It's like, if there were 100 of us all getting paid the big bucks, then okay. But when it's just a few here and a few over there and a few over there, it's going to make everybody's lives a little harder still. And you'll have that constant, like I said, comparison. So that's my take on it.
I think this is actually part of the problem of what we're facing with these players that are being extracted from Korea now, is that everyone has this perception that because esports is so large in Korea, that these players are over there, on these big stages with these pyrotechnics, making huge dollars. And these teams aren't getting paid at all. Often they don't have sponsors, they're not making any money. So, when teams like EG come in and they say, Puma, do you want some money? It's not going from one paycheck to a different paycheck. It's going from nothing to being able to afford this lifestyle where you were just, otherwise camping out in a Boy Scout camp in a room with 20 beds, as you've seen in some of the house tours. So do you think that what you're doing is also going to be a huge influence in Korea?
Well, good or bad,
I
think we already influenced him a little. Okay, here comes my cat. Bye.
They're a little mixed up.
My cat wants to be, just like Live on 3, that everyone's saying Sappy.
He's like, oh, I got to jump in this show. He's on camera. I got to
get
out
of the way. Yeah, I definitely think, we are, definitely impacting. I think the simple fact that, Puma was not contracted. I don't think it would have changed us negotiating with him or how we did anything. It's just part of the process. But I was quite taken aback when, I heard that, I was under the same impression that what was already in place in Brood War was absolutely in place for StarCraft 2. Maybe not the salaries, but certainly the contracting and all those kind of things. So I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say what our impact is, other than probably after the Puma thing, everybody scrambled to contract their players, which, again, they should have been contracted. It's just the nature of, for both sides. Like, contracts are not just for teams, and they're not just for players. In essence, they protect both sides of the equation, just like any other business contract in the world. So an uncontracted player kind of, is out there to the wind, and like, he's very unsettled himself. He has no assurances other than a handshake. And it goes both ways, right? The team has no assurances either. But that kind of struck me as odd that they didn't have some sort of a formal contract. And I did find it kind of funny that, everything over there is done on a handshake and everything is ethical and everyone is moral over there. And then you start reading how it's not. And you start reading all this SC2Con stuff and all this crazy stuff that's going on. And it's like, gee, it seems like Korea does business just like everybody else in the world, don't they? So, like, I hope they're all contracted, their players, not only to protect the team's asset, if you will, but also to protect the players' interest and their connection with the teams. Grabbing the HuK, the sense of like signing the HuK and doing all that, I don't know if that sends any sort of message to anyone in Korea, in that sense.
And I just want to touch on something, Scott. Like StarCraft 2, like Rachel's been to Korea a lot. I actually took the time to visit Korea for about 2 weeks this summer. And I became pretty good friends with the We Made Fox manager. And he, he's a really nice guy. I'm sure you've met him at some of these events. His name's Daniel. And, we actually got to visit the We Made Fox house and just see how they kind of do things versus how other StarCraft 2 teams do things. And I don't know how much you follow the Brood War scene at all or anything like that, but, We Made Fox still is one of the teams that competes in the Pro League. And so they, he told us what their operating budget was, and I was just blown away. He said it was $1 million. That's what they spend, a year on just run their operations. And they have like a team van, they have like a really nice facility and things like this. And, and it's not private information. Like, he just was telling us like it was casual. He told us how much Moon makes. He told us like all this information. And like you said, that being done on a handshake thing, I think that's like the StarCraft 2 community is just so underdeveloped in Korea right now, because everything is still on the Brood Wars thing. Like, I think Flash and Jadon are going to have contracts, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't know, and maybe you know the answer to this. Do you know if that information is public? Like, how much do Flash and Jaedong make? Like, do we know that information?
It might be out there somewhere. I haven't personally read an article lately that says how much they've made, but I know that a lot of the Brood War, there's been a lot of articles and a lot of posts over the years about those guys are like rock stars and how much they do make. So I would imagine it's out there in the Brood War land for sure. Because again, they got Brood War in Korea to the point where that was not only an okay thing to talk about, but it was a really cool thing to talk about, right? Because again, it puts these guys on the level of rock stars, and a celebrity, right? It's not just a kid making $19,000 a year trying to win some prize money. These guys make bank, and that's something you do want the world to know, that this is not the basement hobby that your mom and dad might think it is, that this is a real, viable, potentially big money career for the talented folks out there.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
And I think it's interesting the way they pick players for the teams over there. We saw it kind of in your face when players picked up Eve. They said we picked her up for her looks. But if you think about it, a lot of the other players have also been picked up for their looks, which is kind of what I was thinking about as to why you picked up HuK. It's not just that he's an excellent player. He just has that star factor that Idra has, and that a lot of these prominent players that have managed to separate themselves from the people who are simply good at the game to the people who are icons in the community. So, I was thinking that would be a huge part of the acquisition for EG, is how much attention that's bringing to you guys, and if that was at all a part of your decision.
Absolutely. I mean, we're gone are the days that a sponsor is happy with a logo on the shirt, a logo on the website, and a little bit of shout out, right? They're looking for not only, skilled individuals, but guys with personality, guys that can give a good interview, guys that have a swagger to them. Like that's, there's tons of guys playing in the NBA, but you really hear and know and get a lot of content from certain types of them, right? Or any sport for that matter. And again, look at the prime example. Jeff might not be the greatest Protoss ever to walk the planet. He'd be the first to admit that. But the guy is personable. He gives great interviews. He's a great ambassador to pro gaming. He does great commercials. Those kind of things, like Kingston loves him for that stuff. Has he won a tournament? Has he had a big StarCraft 2 check in his hand? Nope. Is that okay? Yep. There's a lot more that goes into it than just if the guy is winning tournaments. So HuK fits a lot of those little areas, right? He is a good-looking kid. He is a well-spoken individual, and he's really good at the game. So he's kind of a full package, right? And you look at Greg, same kind of thing, but he's definitely more towards that bad boy evil image, if you will. But again, everything else applies. Gives good interviews, plays well, sponsors love him. So as we grow and get bigger and bigger, our mission statement, if you will, internally, is to field the best professional video game players in the world. Simple as that, And if we can find some along the way that also are these little shining stars in their scene, then it's an added bonus for us.
Do their contracts actually include any clauses about social media or about how they present themselves online?
I'd really rather not go into individual contract details, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine. I was just wondering if there was more than just a play aspect to these players' contracts, if they have to.
Oh well, definitely. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's definitely requirements on both sides of the equation that are far more than what you would think. Things we provide them, and things they provide to us. Stuff like blogging and stuff like that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely have to say that Idra is hands down one of the best players to interview. One, because of his marketability, and two, he's just a lot of Americans aren't media trained, and you do an interview with Greg, I mean, he will talk your ear off. So
Yep. I mean, you can have the best player in the entire world, but if he gets handed that microphone and can't make a complete sentence and isn't making eye contact, it's really good to win, all right, well, that's the soundbite. That's what the world sees and remembers after he won, not the fact he won. So you kind of need the full package. And not every player is going to have that charisma. You can train some of it. You can coach some of it. One of the reasons we have brought Anna Prosser on in a a bigger role for us than just doing some interviews is she is very media trained herself. She runs a consulting business on how to give interviews, how to do job interviews, both media interviews, all those kind of things. So she is working with our players to, when you get asked the question, here's how you answer a question. Here's how you relate the question back in your answer. She's making them better speakers slowly but surely, right? All that is part of growing a better pro gamer in our world. It's not just because I can't help them be a better StarCraft player. I can't. But there's lots of things that we as management can help them be better at, and that's what we try to do.
Fathom9 here in the chat actually wanted to ask, would you keep a player rostered with very poor performance, but a good who has icon or star status?
It would absolutely depend on what we felt. It would depend on what our spend on that player was versus our ROI. Simple as that. So I guess the short answer would be quite possibly yes. It's all about an investment. What do you invest in the player? What do you get out of the player? Simple as that. If it's worth it,
look at. I was gonna say, look at Grubby, Scott. I mean, he's not doing that great right now in StarCraft, but in Warcraft 3 he was a monster, right? So yeah. I think given some more time, he's going to get better. But right now, I mean, he still has a huge fan base. The guy at any time when he streams gets great numbers, and I mean, he hasn't won anything. So.
But he will. He will.
Yeah, in time.
Oh yeah.
So StarCraft 2, as players grow, this scene needs to grow as well. And we've grown a lot, especially thanks to programs like MLG and a lot of the tournaments, IGN, the Team Liquid events that have come up this year. But what is the next big step for StarCraft 2, coming into mainstream media? Where does it go from here? Because it seems like we're at a great point right now and just not enough people are noticing.
I think the next great step is to make sure we continue with the momentum we're already building. So I don't know if there's a next great step, like someone rolling in and going to save the day here, plus CGS and a few years ago. I just think it's all of our jobs to make sure that this momentum we're building, the CSNs, the MLGs, everybody doing their thing keeps on doing it. We now have these MOBA games that are bigger stream numbers. So I think the big thing for all of us, again, is to make sure that we keep on keeping on. Keep supporting the MLGs, the ESLs, the GSLs, the IGNs, the stuff you guys do. Little things like EG Masters Cup. I certainly don't think we're in a bubble. I don't think this is a false hype thing we're all building. This is a very real, very solid game that we all are falling in love with. It's not a flash in the pan game, as StarCraft 1 has proven already. But I just think we all need to make sure that we keep on this path. Slow and steady wins the race, right? So it's okay that Valve is throwing $1 million at a Dota 2 tournament. It's okay that Riot announced $7 million. It's okay that Han's going to announce multi-million dollars. Nothing wrong with that. Doesn't affect us in a negative way whatsoever. Only if we let it. So we just have to keep on, keep it on, and I think we'll be just fine.
We got another question actually from the chat here. Lardern wants to know, how do you engage the very interactive relationship between esports and the StarCraft 2 community? Is it a good thing in the long run, or would a more impersonal relationship be better? So what I think he's trying to ask here is, if you think about, a major league sport like basketball or baseball, that all operates very independently from its fan base and sort of just hands down whatever it decides to provide. Whereas with esports, you see a lot of, here we are responding to headlines that, we read and conversations that have been had publicly on the internet from people that are just fans or viewers.
Yep. Well, I think it's, I think the interactive relationship that have with its fans is the exact same, and we'll just say as sports. Go to ESPN and read their comments about any news article, because you can comment on ESPN. It's no different. Armchair quarterbacks the world abound. Whether quarterback's overrated, whether a point guard's terrible and should be traded, the internet goes nuts. They want their opinion heard. Doesn't matter if they're gamers. The The cool thing we have that real sports no longer has is the direct interaction that we, you included, myself included, certainly the players can have and do have with fans at events, online, etc. It was a really good topic of discussion on State of the Game a couple weeks ago where they were talking about autographs. And Tyler and Jeff kind of have different opinions about this. Tyler comes from a very, very athletic and focused concentration background where when he's getting ready to play a match, he puts himself in a zone, doesn't want to talk to anyone, doesn't want to interact with any fans. He needs to be in that zone to sit down and play his matches, right? And he doesn't want to be distracted by the fans. He loves the fans. He'll give them their autographs and all that on his terms because to him, game comes first, right? And that's very real sports-like, right? Kobe's going to give interviews and autographs on Kobe's time. Jeff and a lot of other guys are quite the opposite. They'll walk around. They'll give autographs on their way to the event, on the way out. They're very socially interactive with the fan base. I think it's a double-edged sword. I can't speak to if that does Jeff and those guys a disservice when they're trying to get their head in the game or not. Only they know that as the guys that are competing, if that distracts them. I do think that Jeff's attitude that at this point of what we're trying to build, that is such a golden opportunity to latch into your fan base that it should not be avoided. And to Tyler's credit, what Tyler's done is he's just set up specific meet and greets. You want my autograph? You want to hang out with me? You can do it at this time here and at this time here. So he can still service his fan base, not upset them, but on his terms. Because what's going to eventually happen, which will be really, really cool, but really, really sad, is we pull in a bus underneath the stadium. We get out. We go into a locker room. We come out of the locker room. We go into the arena. We play our matches. We walk out of the arena. We're gone. And you don't talk to us anymore. That kind of sucks, right? But that's what real sports is all about. So again, I gauge it like silly people are asking me for an autograph, Rachel. A year ago, what do you know? What the fuck? You trolling me? At the interview that I gave you, I gave like 3 interviews or 3 autographs, and every single one, I turn to these guys and I go, "Why are you trolling me? You're just fucking with me, right?" And they're like, "No, we listened to Live on 3. We want your autograph." And like it slowly started to dawn on me that these fans are really starting to, because I've been here for a really long time. No one asked Counter-Strike guys for autographs unless you happen to be in China or some fan-crazy country, right? But go to events in North America all the time, and nobody was asking anybody for autographs. This fan base is more like a real fan base, I guess, in the sense whether it's sports or celebrities. And I think that's really, really, really cool. But as we grow, and this gets crazy, because at one point at the last MLG, like security kind of had to grab Greg and help him get out of the building. At Anaheim, I had to move the line that was forming behind Jeff away from the front door because it was starting to go out the front door of the convention center. Totally cool problem to have. But, so I kind of, it's bitter. The day that we were rolling in tour buses underneath a venue like a rock star does or a team does to an athletic event is going to be really cool. But then we are going to be distanced from the fans. And then you're going to have to set up like meet and greets. And then what happens? You can buy like Greg's autograph on eBay. That'll be a bummer, but it'll be really, really cool. So I guess that's my long answer on that. And I think I answered his question. And now the interaction in the sense of like the forums blowing up and all that. Again, same kind of thing. You're going to see the players start pulling away. You're going to see managers start pulling away because you can't fight with the trolls, right? And I learned that the hard way at Godfrag, and I've slowly started to learn it more and more. And here it's like, don't tweet back, don't reply, let it go, block the kid. Because you can't win with people whose sole desire is to push that button, right? They don't want to have a debate about a topic with you. They want to troll you. They want to piss you off. And, you have to start pulling back. You can't defend everything you say. You don't need to defend everything you say or do. And I think we're all slowly learning that this fan base can be very knee-jerk at times, and there's no sense and no need to knee-jerk right back at them.
One
I
thing
remember.
I want to
Sorry.
go ahead, Rich.
Oh, nothing. I was just gonna say, I remember being in Chengdu, China, with you in 2009, and Stork came out from a side door, and like 100 Chinese kids rushed to him in like the 15 seconds that I had the camera on him, and I just remember thinking, oh my God, I went home, I told everyone that story, and now here we are, 2011, the same problem happening in the U.S. I never ever thought that was going to be possible, and it's been incredible.
Absolutely. Again, same thing. That was my biggest. Well, that was the biggest, craziest esport event I had been till I went to some this year, right? And I think for you and I both, we talked about it while we were there. I was literally, and I've been to a many esport event, but like going to WCG China is like going to the promised land of pro gaming. Well, was in that sense. I mean, we had to hire security for Grubby and Cassandra. It was literally, I was blown away. But I never again, again, we were still in the Brood War days, was there playing for EG, representing the USA team. But I never in a million, I mean, I didn't think, yeah, soon MLG will be like this next year or in 2 years. I was blown away by it, but I thought we were all too jaded, too hipster of a fan base. They're never going to mob our players stateside or in Europe. Wow. Couldn't have been wronger. And I'm happy about it. Happy about it.
Yeah, I think the China market right now is like, I think in order of like fan craziness, we've got like Europe probably the least. I don't know, like I've just kind of seen the crowd at IEM today watching the streams and stuff. I think they're a little bit more reserved. I mean, they're even booing players. Where in America, like Americans love Koreans more than they like their own kind sometimes. Maybe not the case with Greg and HuK, but like in order of craziness, I think Europe's definitely on the low end of that. America towards the higher end, and then China is like rock star status. I mean, I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that you have to remember about Gamescom and CeBIT, the other big trade show that ESL and IEM attach with, is they are huge trade shows. So that room wasn't full of people that just came to cheer for someone. They came to check out the new Blizzard stuff, and it's a huge trade show, right? It's like doing something at a CES or doing something at a PAX. So they're engaged fans, but they're not specifically all of them, I shouldn't say. I'm sure some came just for the games, whether it was League of Legends or StarCraft. Right. But that room wasn't full like an MLG is full, right? Or like WCG China was full of like diehard pro gaming fans. Now, I'm not saying they booed less or more because of that, but if you're not a StarCrafter or a League of Legendser and you sit down in that hall and you're going to watch this for a while because it's a very nice show, and you see this guy versus a German guy, you might boo that guy. Now, we kind of talked about it earlier. Did he booed because he's Korean, booed because he's EG, booed because he's going against the German? But again, if you're just a German gamer who went to a big gaming convention and you see your brethren on stage, you might be like, oh, boo, boo. So it all depends. But again, the room, I guess, wasn't full of purely passionate, rabid esports fans.
Right.
But quite a few of them, the room was packed, so that's all that really matters.
Right. Yeah, it's just like when like a big like play happens or something, you don't get that same reaction to say, like at MLG, you almost can't even hear now, right? Where, there it's just kind of, you hear some claps and stuff, but you're like, that also goes back to what you said though, like when you go to MLG, you're going to MLG because you are there to watch competitions, not, like they're not attached to that like trade show, because there's a lot of probably more corporate level people there and stuff like that. Like kind of just, I want to go walk around and see all the games, all the new gear coming out and all that. Oh, what's this over here? Oh, this is kind of cool. I mean, I'm not going to really cheer, but I'll watch, right? So it's a good and bad thing. So.
Yeah, and again, like they very well have been booing, like for all those reasons. Again, Cruncher got booed at MLG when he played Greg, right? He did get a little bit of boo, boo. Now, right, wrong, or indifferent, it happened. But like, go to any sporting event, it happens, right? And the heckling at a real sports event is far worse than a few little boos. Now, will we ever get to that point where someone's screaming, I hope you die, you're a terrible Protoss, die in a fire? I don't know. I'm not going to say that's good or bad, because that's what real sports fans do. They love their team, they love their players, and you don't go to Yankee Stadium and the Yankees fans are not cheering for the Red Sox. They're booing the Red Sox, right? So, yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to let's get away from the autographs and all that and kind of get back on a little bit more focus here. And you talked about some differing opinions between like In Control and Tyler, on the state of the game. So one of the biggest controversies and definitely the marketing, whole marketing strategy behind HuK kind of moving over to EG is this big controversy between our Idra and HuK going to get along. So, I know that I actually watched the little promo video. Hats off to you guys for that. That was freaking awesome. I think it definitely got a lot of views and definitely got everybody's attention. And I love the little graphic you guys used with them kind of like doing like a fighting kind of pose.
Yep.
Let's talk about that, Scott. What do you know about their relationship and where do you see it progressing from here?
Greg sums it up pretty good. He's been asked this a few times in interviews, and he's like, if you all really think that this would happen and the team that already is part of EG isn't excited and happy about it and A-okay with it, then you're a bunch of sillies, right? Of course, we ask our players about all new acquisitions. We don't necessarily have to get their approval, but they're teammates in a way. They play a 1v1 game, but we treat it very much like a team mentality, as do a lot of the other top teams. Because you're in team leagues, you travel together, you room together, you want to support each other, you train each other. So we most certainly, the very first person we asked was Greg. And Greg was like, I'm absolutely fine with the guy. So there's no bad feelings. There's no ill will between the two. A lot of what you see is public sparring with each other for the sake of fun. Now Greg will be the first to admit that, when HuK had his initial success, it was kind of cheesy, and Greg called him on it, but Greg will be the first one to also say that he's come a long way. And Korea, got him out of, a couple builds and got him to be a very, very solid Protoss. So, Greg's fine with HuK. All the guys are fine with HuK. And they're really looking forward to, having him as a teammate. Simple as that, Again, knee-jerk reaction. Just because they sparred and Greg told him, said fuck you to him one time, they must hate each other, and Greg hates this decision. Greg is a very valuable part of this team. Every single one of our players is very valuable to us. So, again, very first people we ask is our own team. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And we get their opinions because they're the ones that have to travel together, live together, do all those things together. And to a man, they were all, go for it. This is really cool stuff. We're excited, and Greg is very much a straight shooter. I don't have to tell you all that. So he's not going to lie to us and to make us feel happy. He would have said to Alex and I, no fucking way. Please don't recruit him.
Right.
And it was quite the opposite.
I'm going to leave the team.
Yeah,
kind of
and there was none of that. It was quite the opposite, So yeah, that's it. It's all good there.
Well, that's good to hear. I was definitely interested in that particular part of it because like you said, the whole marketing of it and everything. That, like you said, the dead giveaway was the BattleNet Invitational, a little handshake, and that was I saw that and I'm like, oh shit, it's true. That was it for me too. So, I think we got some questions here in the chat, Rach.
He might have shaken his hand anyway because he's in the land of StarCraft 2. He's at Blizzard's event,
Right.
Greg might have still shook his hand, but it did kind of work out well, right? And they even joked about it that In Control gave him shit on the show the other night. He's like, yeah, you shook his hand, but you didn't make eye contact with him because he didn't want to. He's like, good job. He kind of
He's like, I'll do it.
Yeah. But we certainly didn't say, and if you win or lose, please shake each other's hands. It just
right. Of course. But it was just un-Greg-like, I guess, is what everybody was talking about.
It was adorable. But it was a dead giveaway.
Yeah, but it was only a dead giveaway once it was already kind of started to be leaked and exposed, if you will.
Okay, Rich. What I saw someone ask. Yeah, pull one from the chat if you would. I saw a few. You, me.
Actually, let's see. MPRS wants to know, how will you guys ease into the transition for Puma into the EG house as a non-English speaking player? So I think he's actually going to be in the Korea house with HuK and with Idra, right? He's not going to be in the Arizona house except for the week after MLG, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, he'll come when it makes sense for him to come, if he's coming stateside for an MLG or another event, and depending on what his schedule's like in Korea. And the same goes for HuK. They'll come early if they can so they can get over jet lag, all those kind of things, get some training in with the team, and then, fly to an event. Same thing going home, again, based on the schedule. So, Puma is certainly not moving to the United States of America. And same thing with Chris. HuK wants to stay in Korea as well. Greg is not going to move to Korea. Greg is going to visit Korea. So, and he's mentioned that on the last, I think, State of the Game, someone asked him that question. He's not moving back over there like he used to live there for years, but he will go over there, do some training, go back and forth. We still very much believe that there's a huge world outside of Korea. But it's pretty safe to say that some of the best training in the world, if not the best, happens in Korea. So, you want to take advantage of that.
Can you give us any details on the apartment you got out there? Is it in Mokdong? Is it in Incheon? Like, did you find it yet? Who's staying?
No
Can I have the
comment.
passcode?
I mean, I'll defer
No
to
comment.
I'll defer to exactly what Alex said in the press release. We'll be about our plans for Korea in October, and a lot more
All right.
will be released to the public then. So, yeah.
All right, that's fine then. Andrew, do you have one picked out from I'll let you go. I was gonna go visit, but never mind.
Okay, here we go. I got one from eBotsDZ here. Is there any other plans to move any other players, or how does a player get to the point of getting the opportunity to go to Korea like the Muslim is looking great? Like, I guess he's asking, when do you guys make the call, like, all right, we're going to send this guy to Korea?
Well, it's, again, based on having a place to send them, which, again, come October, a lot more will be known about that. So let's just assume that we've got a place that they can all call home. It would come from the player wanting to go, player maybe qualifying for something like a code A spot or an invite. Our belief that he
sounding like a
go,
robot, they're saying. I don't know.
Am I roboting right now? Hello.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really fix it. I can jump off the Skype call, but...
Wait, talk now? I think you're good.
Check 1, 2, robot.
Oh, all better.
All better?
All better. Go ahead. Yep.
Okay. Again, we'll just go into the assumption that there is a place to go for them.
Right.
And to Muslim is a prime example. He wants to go. He wants to do a little bit more training before he goes. He's still, recovering from his injury and getting himself back on track, which he's doing quite well. Very excited for Ben. And it depends on the opportunities to present himself. Again, does he have a code A spot? Did he get an invite to something? Does it make sense to send him? And we are very much in the know that guys get better when they can spend some time in Korea. I mean, that's just an obvious stated fact. So there is no check sheet that we go down and go, okay, well, he's done this, this, and this. Here's your plane ticket. Yeah, it's I guess when the time is right and the player wants to go and it makes sense for us to send them, then we will start. Because in a perfect world, we got guys doing this. Some going over there, some coming to the house. Some going over there, some coming to the house. They're not mutually exclusive projects. They will both coexist. The house in Arizona as well as whatever we do in Korea.
I have another question here from Azader. He actually wants to know, and I'd like to know this too. We see the Korean teams having dedicated coaches. Do you have a plan to pick up anyone to fill the specific role of coach? Maybe to supervise the team members that are over in Korea, or I guess they supervise themselves. What are you thinking?
We're definitely talking to a lot of people about the concept of coaching. So it's certainly something we're thinking about. But I've heard a lot of different things about the coaches in Korea. Some really are coaches, and some are administrative management types that are called the coach, and they do no coaching. So, you got to find the right guy. He's got to be, to me, a coach isn't the guy that's necessarily helping you set up your matches and going, okay, you play at this time and you play. A lot of people can do that part of the job. A coach, a football coach, a basketball coach is a guy who's talking to you about the game and helping you get better at the game.
Yeah.
So you got to find that guy for StarCraft 2, not for Brood War. So again, I think a lot of people carry the coach title in Korea that aren't necessarily sitting behind their players going, you should have dropped a pylon here. Your build order should have been this. And a lot very much are doing that. So it's very much in discussion, and your players have to be able to respect and believe in that guy, or they're not going to listen to him, and then it's counterproductive, right? So it's finding the right fit.
Right. And do you think that because, like we see Korea teams, like almost every single Korean team, and I may be wrong on this, so don't quote me on this, but I'm almost pretty sure every single one has a coach. And that definitely probably stems from, Brood War being existent there for, like, was it a decade now? And so, like, this whole type of game and everything is, it's already been there. These people that have all this experience with, and now we're, StarCraft in the U.S. is getting that big, right? And so I don't know if we're going to see any American, like, coach types besides. I know that wasn't Tasteless on EG for that kind of Scoots a while back or something like that, or was that kind of a joke? I don't know.
No, it certainly wasn't a joke. When we initially signed Greg, we also initially signed Nick. And the idea was, again, before, Greg changed his idea of where he wanted to live for a while, and before the rest of the world blew up with StarCraft 2, and I think you see some of my very, very early interviews, we were gonna do the focus in Korea, and we needed a guy on the ground in Korea that wasn't a player. And Tasteless was up for that. So he was going to be a manager for us. Like, again, a coach to me is the guy that is helping you in-game. A coach is not the guy that says, you play tomorrow, your team match is this. This is your, that's a manager, that's a scheduler, that's a guy who books your airline tickets, makes sure you're waking up, knocks on your hotel room. To me, that is not a coach. To me, again, a coach is the guy that says, you screwed up your build order. You should have done this. Have you thought about doing that? That was not what Nick was going to do. Nick was going to manage our division over there. So as we brought more players over, as we looked for an apartment, all of those things would make it easier for us because he's in Korea versus us stateside. Manager, not coach to me. And again, I think a lot of people and again, you guys have spent way more time in the Korean houses than I have. I've never been in one. So I would defer to you guys to say how many over there are called coaches that truly coach, and how many are over there that are managers, right, with a coach title. Right. You would know that better than me.
I mean, there are several that are in the same way. There are a lot of players that don't qualify, and then for that point of time kind of fall into the coach role until maybe they qualify for Code A again, where what they do is, I've seen it at StarTale, I've seen it at Players. It's where they stand behind the player and they watch what they do and they talk to them about their timings. And that's something that I guess, really goes on among players and is the benefit of them living together. But, for Stella is the perfect example. Stella is someone who stands behind his players and nitpicks, their timings and their food and everything like that. And then takes the role of, I'm going to sit down and watch all the replays of the other players and figure out whose Smurf account is whose. Like, he is super, super involved as the coach, and that's really what I see as being an asset to something like EG when you have your players split between two locations.
Yep, no, and I can't disagree with you. If it's a guy like that who is on the on par with the knowledge base that he needs to have to give proper coaching, then that makes perfect sense. It sounds like he might be one of the few that's really doing that. Again, my guys in Phoenix right now are certainly self-coaching each other. In Control, you can talk about his in-game all you want, but he's a fantastic coach in that sense because he knows the game really well. So if I nodded to anyone as a coach who's helping everyone break down their mistakes, even his own, Jeff certainly is doing that a lot. He's the most vocal guy in the house, calling people on their BS, praising them as well. So, but they all, like, just sitting there watching them watch each other, they all right now fill that role. Ben gets done playing Greg, and they'll all sit down and go, I did this to you, and this is how it worked out, and then Jeff will chime in. So they're very self-coached right now. But somewhere along the way, does it make sense to have someone else behind them as well? Yeah, probably so. Not quite there yet.
Actually, when I interviewed a bunch of the players and I asked them, well, if gaming doesn't work out, what are you going to do? And half of them said, I don't want to answer that question. And the other half said, well, of course, I'd become a coach if I couldn't play. So I think a lot of them, there is a very common role in most teams. Maybe it's not who you deal with when you talk to a Korean team as coach, kind of like, I guess, if you've ever dealt with a TSL coach, he's not the coach. More,
they
food dealer
term,
and
right?
trickster.
Like their managers are called coaches too. So
they don't bother to translate a whole lot as far as distinctions.
Yeah, we have play,
Daniel.
Yeah, because we definitely have guys that. So I would say on the in-game side of it, you've got the players self-coaching, and you've got Colby, who is manager, keeps track of their schedule, tells them what leagues they're in, all those kind of things, and also gives them a little bit of coaching because he's played the game for a very long time as well. But we certainly don't have the guy standing behind him. Like, I fuck around with him. I'll go there and I'll stand behind him and, I'll start messing with him and go, you probably should have put that pylon maybe a little over here, Jeff. And he'll just turn and give me that look like, are you trolling me, bro? So yeah. Because you definitely need a manager type to keep them in line. And then, yeah, quite possibly there might come a day when you need the coach to help them, But I don't think we're quite there yet, or we haven't quite bumped into the right guy, I guess. If I met this amazing guy that my players loved and said, he will help us get so much better, can we figure out how he can be our coach? Then we would go down that road. Because, again, it's got to be someone that the players are going to listen to and have a certain amount of respect for. Because, again, these are not you also have a different mentality, the westernized player versus the Korean player. I think the westernized players are a little more rogue, a little more like, don't tell me how to play. And, the Koreans may be a little bit more respectful of the older guy, the coach, especially if these guys are coming from the Brood War world, right? They're kind of been anointed. Right. I don't know who we could get to stand behind my players who they would go, God damn, this guy's smart. Okay, I'm trying that next time. But I'm sure that those people will be out there, but maybe not quite yet.
Yeah, I think maybe as we get the scene kind of develops, and as someone like Greg, who should definitely keep playing for as long as possible, he would be like a great coach because his ability to break down the game mechanics, recognize what is going on and then react to that, right? And there's, like you said, there's just guys that get that and do a wonderful job at that, and there's players that they have their style, they just and won't take that coaching, some players have a certain style and they want to stick to it. So, I think it could mess them up if someone's talking in their ear to say, so.
Yeah, and my game is Counter-Strike, right? That is the game I bit my teeth on, played it, competed at it, yes. Worked it. And so, if I coached anybody on this team ever at EG, that's the one team I could watch them play rounds and at the half or after a match go, this is what you did wrong with your rotation, I think. This is what maybe you should try. Because you have to have that knowledge base or no one's going to, even give you the time of day. Your players will look at you and go, shut up, you don't know. But so we haven't found that, we don't know where we are with that guy for StarCraft 2. But I felt very comfortable talking to our Counter-Strikers about certain things because, again, that was my background. But like I said, StarCraft 2, not quite there yet.
Yeah, I do a whole lot more watching than...
from chat. I know you answered this question to me before, but I guess for the stream, I want to know what else the players are going to be learning at the EG house besides StarCraft. And you were talking about some life skills and, of course, some PR skills from Anna.
Yeah, definitely life skills. I'm a big, and I talk to Anna all the time about it, and we kind of joke about it. Anna taught to Muslim how to do laundry the other night. That, as funny as that sounds, the guy, didn't know how to operate the washing machine, and obviously in Europe, and before he moved in with Roddy, maybe he lived at home, and one of it, his mom or dad did his laundry or whatever, or he had a girlfriend, but simple things like that, like doing your laundry, going grocery shopping, life skills. One of the deals that we have with the house is we don't necessarily pay every single bill. There's a couple bills in the house that they all chip in on. They have no maid, they have no full-time cook, because again, little animals, are good. Learn how to boil some water and make pasta. Learn how to cook an egg.
Ramen noodles.
We joke about it, but again, like, one day these guys will have to get girlfriends and get married and move out on their own, and have to your room has to stay clean, the house stays clean, and some of these guys have never had to worry about that stuff before, and it's not a huge deal, it's not like they're slobs per se, but they live kind of, or have lived, a very college-like lifestyle, where you might have a dresser right here, but everything is just as fine right here on the floor, right? So it's just little things like that. Like, hey, I taught Ben how a drawer opens on his dresser. Hey Ben, if you open the drawer, that stuff that's here on the suitcase and is falling all over the floor can go right over here, and you can shut that drawer. Shut. So we're having a lot of fun with it, Anna and I. I don't know if I'm building better human beings, but I hope that when they leave this house, because they're also learning how to live with other people, and that is a big deal in life. A lot of these guys have come from by themselves, living at home, living in very different environments, and they are, not only in a team house, but they're in a house with 6, 7 other roommates. And, those of us that have had roommates in their lives, that in itself is a challenge to work out so everyone gets along, no one steps on anyone's toes, no one pisses everybody off. So little life skills like that,
Well, I guess we've exhausted a lot of topics here. I think we can wrap this one up with one last one. We've got some breaking news here that it is official that We Made Fox is disbanding.
Oh,
so
man.
Any comments on that before we go tonight?
Wow.
I know this is especially sad for me. We're Andrew and I are actually pretty good friends with Daniel, the We Made Fox manager, and a number of players on the team. And I don't know if this is their StarCraft 2 division or everything they've got.
Well, yeah.
club.
I mean, first off, I would say, and again, not reading where this news has been posted or having any backstory on it.
Are we sure that's verified? I don't want to say it is if it
my
isn't.
Twitter feed here. Well,
I mean,
either way it would be.
It's absolutely heartbreaking. And again, I'm gonna.
It's actually really bad.
I mean, I guess I'm going to assume, and I know that when you assume it's bad, right? You make an ass out of you in front of me, and yada yada yada. But I'm gonna, We Made Fox is one of the few Korean brands that is not just StarCraft, right? Over the years, they've had Counter-Strike teams. They were a multi-genre gaming organization, much like an EG, a Complexity, an SK, a Fnatic, etc. So, that can very well hit a couple communities very hard, and a couple teams very hard. So that absolutely sucks. I want to compete with a lot of other teams, right? EG can be here doing our thing, but we need a shitload of other teams trying to do the exact same thing. And We Made Fox has been held in high respect very, very long time in this scene. Again, Counter-Strike days. So, that absolutely sucks. And I hope it's not true. But that's a bummer. I mean, that just really sucks. You don't want to see anyone who's got the same passion, the same spirit to try to grow this have to close shop. It's never any good for anybody. I want to compete with all these people inside servers, and inside games and in events. But again, we need a lot of us to globally make this work, to supporting players and divisions of games. So that kind of sucks. Can we answer one more question that's not so fucking shitty, Rachel, please?
Yeah, I know. Milk has just confirmed it. My heart is breaking here. Oh, man.
Wow.
Let's dig up one more happy question, guys.
That's terrible. And I can keep going. I mean, I can answer audience questions. It doesn't bother me at all. I mean, you can end it, but it's up to you guys.
Yeah, no, I definitely let's see. Let me see if anybody wants to call in. Some people are kind of bashful.
I know that our boy John Clark was trying to spam some questions, but he kept asking them to me in chat. I'm not going to take a question. You guys have to kind of bring them out.
I've got some people adding me here on the Skype, so let me see. If you guys want to call in, go ahead and call in. We'll give it a shot. If you do have your stream on, we may hear some echo. But if you want to call in, I did add some of you guys, so go ahead and give us a ring, and I'll see if we can get this to work.
a question from Justin Grindle. You picked up the player E.G. Grindle briefly over the course of MLG Anaheim, and then released him quickly the following morning. We want to know what is the story behind that, and what game did he actually play?
The only game that Grindle played was Games with My Heart, and I'm going to keep, why we signed him and why we released him confidential. But, it was some of the happiest and some of the saddest few hours of my life there, before and after signing the Grindle Fly.
Which is especially heartbreaking for me, because I have been trying to get onto EG through your heart for years now, and have failed. And here comes Grindle with his hip-shaking eye contact, and it's all over.
He got me
so,
drunk.
Did anyone call? He did. On what you talking about? Do you have anybody calling in, Edge?
Well, was there a question after that? What?
Andrew, do we have anybody calling in, or shall I keep taking questions in the chat?
No, keep calling. I just added them, so they probably haven't noticed.
Sure.
But,
they want to know when are they going to get an EG house tour? I thought you guys were all set up by now. I know you had Anna putting together furniture, which is so cruel, but I guess you don't want to risk delicate gamer hands. So,
okay,
you guys all set up?
For Anna's little tweet of what she put together, she did nothing compared to what these hands put together in that house. So, but she did get some IKEA tasks, and like, IKEA is really cool, and everything comes in a box this small, but it takes you like 12,000 years to freaking put it together. Very soon. There's a couple other things we were waiting for, a couple gaming rigs to be built, a couple sponsor products to arrive. We're hoping to maybe even film some stuff this week once Puma shows up. Because once we found out that Puma was coming and it fit into his schedule before MLG, we were like, well, let's just wait a couple more days, and when he gets here, while he's here and everybody else is here, it'd be a good time to do some filming. So we're hoping to get some stuff filmed, knock on some sort of wood this week. And whether we release it right before MLG or right after MLG, we are very close to kind of opening the doors to what we do. I think, Rachel, you've known me long enough that I don't like to half-ass shit, and I'm very nitpicky and very anal about stuff, and like we're very, very close to showing the house. Yeah, just want it to be nice and right, and we'll still be adding stuff. We're far from done with how we want to decorate, but we got a few of the big pieces in, and like I said, I hope this week we can do some filming and start sharing it. And once we do, like, tell Anna, unleash the hounds, you'll probably start getting more content than you ever freaking wanted from these players and from this house.
I'm sure. You're going to have, like, stalkers come to it, probably. They'll find out where it is on, like, Google Maps or something.
All right, well, here's
I saw a question.
From John Clark.
Okay, go ahead,
Rich.
You take that one, and then I got another one after that.
This one's from John. He wants to know, do you see the trend of large-scale, big money events as a step in the same direction we have gone before, the same model? John, I'm not entirely sure what that means, but I'm going to direct this here to, do you think these events are going to be getting bigger and bigger and fancier, or are we just going to have more events perhaps on the scale of MLG, or you made some predictions earlier.
John, can we clarify, when you say big money, are you talking about like the MOBA money, the League of Legends, the Dota 2, and the Han? Because there's not necessarily huge, exorbitant prize purses in StarCraft 2, I don't think quite yet, especially in comparison to those numbers. So I'm going to wait to see what he says in chat as I keep delaying talking about the answer. I think what you'll find, you'll see less and less one-off events, John. But I think, and you'll see MLG doing more and more, right? They've already explained from come 2012 that not only will they have their events as you know them, but they'll be doing a lot more stuff online, a lot more different stuff as well. So I think you'll still see the one-offs because you will get a new company that comes in, they want to dip their toe, and then they'll either decide it's worth it for them or not. So you're going to see an occasional one-off. I think it's going to be a lot harder for them to find a weekend where they can do their one-offs. But I think you're going to see the organizations we already know and respect doing more and more and getting more and more entrenched in what we do, whether it's a GSL, an MLG, an Extreme Master, an NASL. I think NASL is obviously doing more coming up. IGN is a prime example. They dipped their toe into an online event. Then they dipped their toe into another online event. And now they've announced this huge, pretty big scale event in Atlantic City. So they've obviously realized that it's somewhere they want to go, something they want to be involved in. Their experiment paid off in their minds, right? They got the return on investment they wanted, and now they're going to go deeper. That's great. That means that we're doing right by them, or the community, the world. The return on investment is there. I can't wait to check that event out. So what I think you're going to see happening with the kind of money that is now becoming the base is you're going to see a lot. The mom and pop, if we'll call them that, John, it's going to be a lot. But I can't start an NBA league right now. I can't throw a basketball tournament that the pros are going to show up to. Now, I don't think we're going to get to a one-league system, but the bigs are going to take over everybody's time and everybody's calendars. So it's going to be much harder for an up-and-comer to even find a spot, even if he's got money, to shine when everybody else is doing stuff. I don't know if that's good or bad. It just is what it is. You guys, have fired up, and you're going to start doing stuff. But you guys are trying to also figure out where you should put your hat. What should CSN do, right? Should we throw tournaments? Should we do media? Should we do both? And again, I think you're just going to see, and it's a good thing. As all this grows, it's going to be harder to run a league. It's going to be harder to run a media company. And it's going to be harder to run a team because competition in all those avenues has gotten harder for us at the end of the day. You can buy
anybody over there
at Split Reason. Split Reason, baby.
We do have a caller. His name is Goat Lust, and he looks like he's an Australian from Brisbane.
No way! Goat Lust is calling in? Yes!
Yeah.
He's a regular
on
Inside the Game, so it's very exciting that he's called in to talk.
All right, we're gonna give this a shot.
I am honored.
Yeah, we're gonna give this a shot, Scott. So just bear with us here. I'm gonna go ahead and answer the call. All right, Ghost, you're on CSInsider. Tell us a little bit about what your question is, and we'll try and get Scott here and to see if he can hear it.
G'day. Yeah, my question is about the latest IEM. I assume you watched a lot of it, SirScoots.
I watched it all, pretty much. Yep. Well, I watched all of it as it related to the EG players. I certainly didn't watch every StarCraft 2 match, and I only watched a little bit of Dota 2.
I've got the stream muted.
Yeah.
Is there something going on?
He's going to have a hard time.
He's answering your stuff on the... You just listen to the stream and you can hear it. He's saying he did watch it and everything, so... hold on, let me see if I can get it to where you can hear him as well.
Yeah, let's mess with this right now. Well, this is quite fortunate. I take it as a good sign that a fan of Inside the Game has found his way over here.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and ask that question again, Go. Are you there?
All right. If you're there, the question is, how did you feel during the group play? HuK had just been taken out, and in a pretty spectacular fashion. And Puma, he played a couple of pretty, pretty less than we expected matches. And I'm just wondering, when you were sitting there, watching your two players that you'd sent out, what were you thinking when Puma wasn't expecting, wasn't performing as well as I think we all thought he would in the group play?
Good question. Can you hear me now, by the way, Goat Lust?
Yes, I can.
Perfect.
Thank you.
By the way, love you, man. Thanks for calling in. The watching, believe it or not, watching our players play is the hardest, most gut-wrenching part of my job that I hate the most, because it's absolutely something unlike any other part of this business that I have my hand in. I cannot control it. I can't I can't help steer it. I am absolutely helpless. So it's great when they're winning. I mean, that's easy. It's great when they win. But when they're losing, it is the saddest freaking thing in the world for me, because I'm a competitor by proxy. So yeah, watching those first couple nights or days, if you will, was very disheartening. Not in the sense like we don't second guess ourselves.
Oh, he may have lagged out.
Oh no!
Hold on, Goat Lust.
Oh no, Scott, he's frozen. He's silent. I don't even know. There we go. We're calling him back, guys. By the way, just a point of reference, it's
bear
not
with
my
us on the
camera.
echo, guys. If it might be a little bad, but we're gonna have a better setup next time for taking the calls.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Scoots, yeah, he's dropped out.
well, that's bad. He was right in the middle of answering your question, so I definitely apologize for that. We'll give him a sec here, guys. We'll go ahead and take a little break. I'm going to keep you on the line, Goat, and we'll be back trying to get him on. So if Ahmad will please just go to commercial break, and hopefully he's back on when we get back.
All right, we're not going to be aligned then, rather.
All right, so just an update. We did call Scoots, and his iNet died, unfortunately. So we are going to give it a few minutes here and see if we can get him back. I was right in the middle of a phone call with Goatlust. So, and we have several people calling in wanting to ask him questions. So if you guys would please stick around, we're going to give it a shot. I don't know if he's going to be able to get back online or not, but we appreciate your patience.
And he did say he was willing to take questions from the community. He's very happy to answer any and all questions you have. So if you would like to ask him anything, you can post it here in the chat. You can add us up on Skype. That's CSInsider on Skype. And, yeah, just throw them out there. You know, we could go back to the video and I could put on my cat face. I haven't used my cat face.
You should definitely troll the stream with the cat face. And Ray, can you switch it over? Let them see this.
I like this cat.
Yeah, just put me and Rachel up for now, and then we'll see if we can wait on him to come back.
Wonder if this will be a less pixely. Oh, look, I'm a kitty cat. Nope, but it's still really pixely. It's just a picture of a cat.
It's alive, though, Rachel. It's
Yeah,
alive.
I'm a living cat. 100%.
Well?
Alright, guys. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to pick up Scoots here. Sounds like it's a bit of an internet issue. Kitty cat.
Well, this is very unfortunate, guys. Rachel, I guess let's just go back on. Just go ahead and put your regular camera back up, and
Yeah.
we'll definitely have Scoots answer some more questions next time he comes on, which probably won't be too long. So I definitely apologize for the internet issue. It's nothing we can control, obviously. So,
Thanks for joining us, guys, for the first installment of CyberSportsNetwork CSInsider. We'll be coming on as a show anytime there's an issue in the community to address. If you feel like there's something that needs to be addressed and an expert can be pulled on to discuss it, let us know. You can hit us up at CyberSportsNet. That's our Twitter. You can hit me up at SelfiePlease on Twitter. And hope you check out the rest of our stuff. You can go over to youtube.com/CyberSportsNetwork. See all our interviews with Americans, Koreans, Europeans, whoever you want to hear from. We have a cute little interview with Jessica up right now, and also with Flo, who is one of the finest female StarCraft 2 players in competition right now. So check that out. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll let you know when we're coming on again. Have a good night, guys.
thank you.